the linearity property of DFT. So if you know the DFT of x1 of n, which is x1 of k, and x2 of n's DFT as x2 of k, then the DFT of the combined signal, which is ax1 of n plus bx2 of n, will be ax1 of k plus bx2 of k. We have seen the symmetry properties. I have not given you the proof of this linearity property. This can be proved in a similar way how we have proved it for the Z transform, the linearity property. In the same way you can prove here for DFT also. Symmetry properties I have given to you. We seen that DFT of x of n is xk. If x of n is real, then x of k is equal to conjugate of x of n minus k, or alternatively we can also say that the conjugate of xk is equal to x of n minus k. And the DFT of x of minus n over the modulo n is equal to conjugate of xk, which is equal to x of n minus k, capital N minus k. If the time domain signal, if it is complex signal, then the DFT of x of n, if it is xk, then the DFT of conjugate of xn will be equal to conjugate of x of n minus k. And the DFT of conjugate of x of minus n over the modulo n is equal to conjugate of xk. The circular time shift property. The DFT of x of n minus m is w raised to m k n x of k. And the frequency shift property says that if x of n, if it is scaled with the complex exponential with w raised to minus mn n, then its DFT is x of k minus m. We have seen the convolution theorem as if we have a circular convolution between x1 of n and x2 of n, then the DFT of the convolved signal is x1 of k into x2 of k. This means that if we have the circular convolution in time domain, we will have the product in the frequency domain. So frequency domain signals, they will multiply to each other. Now I had given you one of the problem in the assignment to find out the 5-point DFT of x of n, where x of n is 2 delta of n plus delta of n minus 1 plus delta of n minus 3. Now this x of n, if I write it in a sequential form, x of n will be equal to 2 at n is equal to 0, 1 at n is equal to 1, then 0 at n is equal to 2, and 1 at n is equal to 3, and 0 at n is equal to 4. So xn will become a 5-point sequence. Now consider a vector of xn, which is a column vector for 5 points 2, 1, 0, 1, 0, and a 5-point W matrix you take like this. So all these W05, W05, W05 in the first row. In the second row, you will have W05, W raised to 1, 5, W raised to 2, 5, W raised to 3, 5, W raised to 4, 5. Then in the third row, you will have W raised to 0, 5, then W raised to 2, 5, W raised to 4, 5, W raised to 6, 5, and W raised to 8, 5. Then you have to use the circular property of this, symmetry property of this twiddle factor, and compute only the 5 points of this twiddle factor, and using the symmetry property and this periodicity property of the twiddle factor, you can replace for W raised to 6, 5 and W raised to 8, 5, W raised to 9, 5, 10, 5, 11, 5, 12, 5. By mapping the twiddle factors on a circle, divide a circle in 5 equal parts and map the W0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5 on the circumference of a circle and repeat the sequence. And use the periodicity property of the twiddle factor and replace the W raised to 6, 5 which is equal to W raised to 2, 5. W raised to 5, 5 is W raised to 0, 5. Likewise, you can replace and complete this matrix of twiddle factor. Once if you have a 5 cross 5 matrix of the twiddle factor, then take a column vector of the input. Now multiply this rows with this column and each of the point you find out, x0, x1. Now when I multiply with this column with this row, I will get 2 plus 1 plus 1, that is 4, the first point. Similarly to second point, multiply the second row with this column and add all the points. And you will get the answer like this. You can verify like this whether you are also getting the similar solution what I have found out, or you can, if I have done a mistake, you can point out. Okay. Now find the endpoint DFT of n delta of k. Now using the definition of IDFT, the IDFT of n delta of k is equal to 1 by capital N summation k from 0 to n minus 1 n delta of k into w raised to minus nkn. Now xk is replaced in the expression by n delta of k because we are interested in finding the IDFT of n delta of k. So n delta of k is xk and that xk is replaced with n delta of k. Now this n and this capital N will get cancelled and it will remain with summation k from 0 to n minus 1 delta of k w raised to minus nkn. Now what is delta of k? It is an impulse function at k is equal to 0 and its amplitude is equal to 1 at k is equal to 0. Therefore, this summation will valid for k is equal to 0 and for all other values this delta of k is equal to 0. Therefore, the IDFT of n delta of k is equal to 1. Because delta of k is equal to 1 for k is equal to 0 and delta of k is equal to 0 for k not equal to 0. So this entire summation will exist for k is equal to 0. Therefore, this summation will be, the value of this summation will be equal to 1 if you substitute k is equal to 0 in this equation. At k is equal to 0, the value of this is 1 and w raised to 0 is also 1. Therefore, this is equal to 1. So, I can say that once d of t is capital N into delta of k or n delta of k's id of t is 1. This is the pair, d of t pair. So, once d of t is n delta of k. Similarly, you can find the DFT of delta of n. What may be the DFT of delta of n? You can tell. Now, using the properties and this pair of DFT, find the n point DFT of e raised to j 4 pi n by capital N. Now, which property we shall use? If I suppose consider that the input x of n is 1 and that is scaled with this complex exponential, then I will be using the frequency shift property where x of n will be scaled by the complex exponential. W is e raised to minus j2 pi by capital N, and when this minus and that minus will get multiplied, you will get this w raised to minus mn as e raised to j2 pi mn by capital N. Now when I compare e raised to j2 pi mn by capital N into xn with this, I will get that xn is equal to 1 and here m is equal to 2. So if xn is equal to 1, then x of k is equal to capital N into delta of k, and that is your xk. Xk is capital N into delta of k. Now, when you use the frequency shift property, it should be x of k minus m, and in this case m is equal to 2. Therefore, e raised to j 4 pi n by capital N's dft is n into delta of k minus 2. Getting it or not? Getting it, all of you?
Yes, madam.
Yes, anybody is having doubt here? All of you clear? How to use the frequency shift property here? So I'm not getting any answer here. So I hope that you don't have any doubt. So I will move ahead. Now the next property, that is the multiplication property. We have seen the convolution property, that is convolution in time domain. Now multiplication in the time domain. That is, if we know that the DFT of xn is x of k and the DFT of hn is hk, then the DFT of yn, which is a product of this xn and hn, then yk, the DFT of yn will be equal to 1 by capital N x of k circularly convolved with h of k. So I here say that x of n into h of n's DFT is 1 by n x of k circularly convolved with h of k. Now to prove this property, let us start with the definition of DFT. The DFT of yn, that is yk, is equal to summation n from 0 to capital N minus 1 yn into w raised to nkn, where n takes on the values from 0 to n minus 1. Now what is yn? Yn is xn into hn. Now let me replace this yn with xn into hn in this expression of DFT. Therefore, yk is equal to summation n from 0 to capital N minus 1 xn into hn into w raised to nkn. Now, I will use the IDFT equation and I'll replace this xn with 1 by n summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm w raised to minus nmn. Now this m variable, I am using it to represent the frequency component of x, sequence x. Instead of using xk, I am using xm, m the frequency component, for the frequency domain transform of xn. So, here you total we will get the equation as 1 by capital N summation n from 0 to n minus 1 summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm w raised to minus nmn hn into w raised to nkn. This k is also frequency component and here the m is also frequency component. Now to differentiate between these two frequency components, I am using this summation variation with respect to the variable m. So xn is replaced with this summation expression into 1 by n. Getting it? So now if you observe, this xm is not a variable of n. So what we will do is we'll interchange the order of summation. Interchanging the order of summation and rewriting the equation and combining these two twiddle factor terms together, what I get is, it is 1 by capital N summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm summation n from 0 to capital N minus 1 hn into w raised to n k minus m n. Now this k minus m, the frequency component. Now if I take this as a frequency component, this is nothing but capital H of k minus m. So yk is equal to 1 by capital N summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm into h of k minus m. Now this is the convolution equation and it is the convolution between hk and xk. So yk is equal to 1 by capital N x of k circularly convolved with h of k. This is how we have to prove this property of multiplication. This I have started with the definition of DFT. You can also start with the definition of IDFT to prove this property, the way we have proved the convolution property. That also alternative proof I will give you in the next slide. So just concentrate here. The same property I am proving here again with the IDFT equation. Yn is equal to IDFT of yk, where the by IDFT equation I can rewrite it as 1 by n summation k from 0 to n minus 1 yk w raised to minus nk n, where k here takes on the values from 0 to n minus 1. And yk is equal to summation m from 0 to n minus 1 x of m into h of k minus m, the circular convolution between xk and h of k, this circular convolution equation. Now replacing yk with this equation here, you will get it as 1 by n summation k from 0 to n minus 1 summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm into h of k minus m w raised to minus nk n. Now interchanging this order of the summation xm and m minus m from 0 to n minus 1, take it outside, and k is equal to 0 will take inside, and afterwards replace this k minus m with some other variable, say f. So if I replace k minus m with f, k will be replaced with m plus f in the equation. And again f will also vary from 0 to n minus 1 because hk and this w both are periodic with the same period of capital N. So the total n number of values we have to consider. So this again will vary from 0 to n minus 1. hf into w raised to minus n f plus m n. Now if I split this Twiddle factor terms, I will get this equation as 1 by n summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm w raised to minus nm n. Now I'll add this n into 1 by n term, and summation f from 0 to n minus 1 hf into w raised to minus nf n. Now if you observe carefully these equations, you will observe that this is nothing but x of n, IDFT of xk, m is a dummy variable for the frequency variable, here f is a dummy variable for a frequency variable. So if you replace here f with k and here m with k, you will observe that this is xn and this is hn. So this is xn and this is hn. So I can say that yn is equal to this n into xn into hn, or alternatively you can take this n to this side and you can say that x of k circularly convolved with hk is equal to capital N into x of n into h of n. This you can prove this same property in this way also. So whichever you feel that easier, in the same way you can prove these properties. I hope that you got this. If you have any query at any moment, you can just unmute your mic and ask the doubt. So shall I repeat it? You can unmute and tell me if you have any queries or you want to suggest anything, because I will not be going through your chat box. So have you got this? Is these proofs are clear to you? These are very important properties and the proofs are very important. If you have any query, you can ask. Is it clear to you? Okay, then I will move ahead with the next property, that is the Parseval's theorem.
Ma'am, interchanging of that order, ma'am, previously explained that, ma'am.
Here,
Yes, ma'am.
see here, this equation is yn is equal to 1 by capital N summation k from 0 to n minus 1 and then summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm into h of k minus m w raised to minus nk n. Now this equation we obtained it by just replacing this yk with this summation expression. Okay. Now you observe here that this xm is a variable of only m and is not a variable of k. So what we do is we take this variable which is varying with respect to only m outside this summation variation of k. So what we do is we interchange this order of summation. So first we vary the summation which is in a variable of m and xm is the variable which is varying with respect to m only and not a variable in k. So we take it outside this summation variation of k. So summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm we take it outside and then inside summation k from 0 to n minus 1 and you will remain with here h of k minus m w raised to minus nk n you will remain with. Okay. So when you take this outside summation m varying from 0 to n minus 1 xm, inside you will remain with summation k from 0 to n minus 1 h of k minus m w raised to minus nk n. Afterwards, you replace this summation, this k minus m with some other variable f. So summation is varying with respect to k. Now this k minus m we are replacing with variable f. So next time the summation will vary with respect to f. So k was varying from 0 to n minus 1. F will also vary from 0 to n minus 1. Because both this hk and this w term, they're both periodic with the period of n. So if you vary this from minus m to minus m capital N minus 1, both are one and the same whether you vary from 0 to n minus 1 or minus m to minus m minus of n minus 1. This total n minus 1 number of terms we have to take into consideration. So what we do is here we'll take the summation variation with respect to f from 0 to n minus 1. Now this will become hf because k minus m we are replacing with f and k here will be replaced with m plus f or f plus m. Now when you split these twiddle factor terms, one term you will get it as w raised to minus nf n and the second term you will get it as w raised to minus mn n. So w raised to minus mn n is not a variable of f. You take it outside this summation variation of f and rewrite the summation expressions. Okay. So here I have written it as summation m from 0 to n minus 1 xm into w raised to minus nm n and you will remain with w raised to f varying from 0 to n minus 1 hf into w raised to minus nf n. Now to this summation, if I want to view it as a IDFT equation, I have to add a term of 1 by n. So what I will do is, I'll multiply and divide by capital N. So n into 1 by n. Now this is the IDFT of HF, that is Hn. And this is the IDFT of Xm, which is Xn. So this M is a frequency component, here the F is a frequency component, and the IDFT of these equations, you can consider it as this as Xn and this as Hn. And one more term you have left out with capital N. Therefore, Yn is equal to capital N into Xn into Hn. Getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. So now moving ahead with this Parseval's relation or Parseval's theorem. This is also called as Rayleigh's energy theorem. Why this is called as Rayleigh's energy theorem? Because if you observe this theorem or the expression, you consider to the left hand side of the equation the summation n from 0 to n minus 1 magnitude of xn square, which is giving you the energy of the signal xn. So this is energy in the time domain and this is the energy in the frequency domain, and the energies of the signal, they are directly related with this equation. Therefore this theorem is also called as Rayleigh's energy theorem. Now what this Parseval's theorem says, if you know the DFT of xn as xk and the DFT of yn as yk, then the summation n from 0 to n minus 1 x of n into conjugate of yn is equal to 1 by n summation k from 0 to n minus 1 xk into conjugate of yk. Now conjugate of yn is the conjugate sequence of yn. So where yn, it is a complex sequence, considered as a complex sequence if yn is a complex sequence. So when yn is a xn itself, at that time, if xn is a complex sequence, at that time this equation becomes x of n into conjugate of xn. And this side, right side, you will get xk into conjugate of xk. And then if you take the magnitude of this entire equation, you will get the same equation as summation n from 0 to n minus 1 magnitude of xn square, which is equal to 1 by n summation k varying from 0 to n minus 1 magnitude of xk square. So Parseval's theorem can be expressed by either this equation or by this equation. So this is the basic Parseval's relation. In this basic equation, when you replace yn with xn, you will get this the second part of this relationship, where n varying from 0 to n minus 1 magnitude of xn square is equal to 1 by capital N summation k from 0 to n minus 1 magnitude of xk square. So when you take a conjugate of a sequence, its magnitude, and a basic sequence, its magnitude, the magnitudes remain same whether the, if so for example, suppose you have a complex sequence a plus jb, complex term a plus jb and its conjugate a minus jb, and if you obtain the magnitude of it, both's magnitude is square root of a square plus b square, that is same. Therefore whether you have xn or a conjugate of xn, the magnitude of both is magnitude of xn square. So magnitude of xn, this is also magnitude of xn, and conjugate of xn's magnitude is also equal to the magnitude of xn. Therefore we here write it as magnitude of xn square. Same here for the right hand side also, x of k into conjugate of xk can be written as magnitude of xk square. This is the theorem. Now to prove this theorem, So also this is also known as the conservation of energy in time and frequency domain, or Rayleigh's energy theorem. Now to prove this theorem, a summation n from 0 to n minus 1. Let us start with the left hand side of this equation. X of n into conjugate of yn is equal to summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xn. Now for conjugate of yn, I will substitute by the IDFT equation as 1 by n summation k from 0 to n minus 1 yk into w raised to minus nk n, and the conjugate of whole this. So this is for yn, we have substituting for the IDFT equation and the conjugate of this IDFT equation. Getting this? So first by IDFT equation for yn I am substituting here and the conjugate of it. So this left hand side is written with this. Getting or not? Now interchanging here the order of this summation k from 0 to n minus 1 yk, we take it outside, and this xn and w raised to nk, they both varying with respect to n, so we take it inside and we'll write it as summation k varying from 0 to n minus 1 conjugate of yk, and then inside you'll remain with the summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xn, and the conjugate of w raised to minus nk is w raised to nk. Now this 1 by n also you can take it outside. Here I have by mistake I have written it inside, you can take it outside also. Now we'll observe that this bracket term, this is nothing but x of k. So I can write this as 1 by capital N summation k from 0 to capital N minus 1 xk into conjugate of yk. Now since here this is proved, when you replace xn with yn, this becomes conjugate of xn, this becomes conjugate of xk, and if you take the magnitude of this entire equation, then you will get this second part of the proof. Getting it? So we have this equation. From this we are interchanging the order of the summation, this we taking it outside, and summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xn we are taking inside, and the conjugate of w raised to minus nk is w raised to nk. Okay. Got this proof? This is a very important property. If you have any doubt here at any step, you can ask. See, I have taken a conjugate of this equation. Conjugate of this equation is conjugate of yk and w raised to nk, and then interchanging the order of summation here. Now based on this property, let us solve one example. So this part of this problem is already solved, that is obtaining the DFTs, 7 points of DFT coefficients. This we have already computed. The only one part that we have to find out the energy of the time domain sequence when we have the DFT of the time domain sequence. So from this we have to evaluate summation n from 0 to 13 magnitude of xn square. For this we have already computed the 6 samples of the DFT coefficients by using the symmetry property. This is already solved in previous sessions, and we have obtained this. Now making use of this Parseval's relationship, I can write this equation as summation n from 0 to 13 magnitude of xn square is equal to. Now capital N is 14 here, so 1 by 14 summation k from 0 to 13 magnitude of xk square. So 1 by 14. Now magnitude of xk square, split this summation and go on adding each of the terms. So when you substitute k is equal to 0, it is magnitude of x0 square. So magnitude of x0 square, what is x0? x0 is 12. So 12 square is 144. Then when you substitute k is equal to 1, magnitude of x1 square. So what is x1 square? Magnitude is this x1 square is real part square plus imaginary part square. So 1 plus 9. Now this you have x1 and a conjugate of that. x1 and conjugate of x1, both magnitude is same. So what I will do is I'll multiply by 2. So 2 into 10. Then the x2 also, it repeats twice, x2 and its conjugates, and the magnitude of x2 into the magnitude of conjugate of x2's. This 2 times we multiply with the magnitude of x2 plus magnitude of x3 and the conjugate of x3's magnitude. So 2 into the conjugate of x3, magnitude of x3. So magnitude of x3 is 26. Observe the magnitude of x4. Magnitude of x4 is 8. 2 into 8. Magnitude of x5 is 45. Magnitude of x6 is 13. Up to this it is repeated because these all complex terms, they have conjugate pairs here. So x1 has conjugate at 13, x2 has conjugate at 12, x3 has conjugate as 11, x4 has conjugate as 10, x5 at x9 and x6 at x7. So twice these magnitudes are considered and added together. So once if you add these all, then divide it by 14. So x7's magnitude of x7 square is 100 here. So you add all this together and divide by 40. So energy you are getting here is equal to 35.57. I hope you understood this. Got this? So for correlation, let me do it in the next class. So if you have any query for 5 minutes, you can ask.